Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today. It's myself, Chris Williams, licensed marriage and family therapist. I have licensed psychologist, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Yes, hello,
Jill,
guys.
good to see you today.
Good to be here.
And I love your fall outfit.
Oh, yes. So do you want to know what's on my mind today?
I do.
Okay, it's Jim's book.
Jim's book.
Yes,
and
I want to know more.
You want to know more?
Yes.
I would love to hear it. So we have obviously Jim Burns, founder of Homeward, great pastor, writer, author, speaker, the whole nine yards. And we have...
And I have a driver's license.
Driver's license.
I said that before, but I...
Well, and Jill wants to know more about your book.
I do.
So.
It was fun talking about it last time.
Yeah, I'm so excited because, this book, A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity, never thought I would write another book to kids. I had a whole life prior to, working with parents in marriage. And we decided that what we needed was content for kids because it's really confusing out there. And one of the things that's interesting is all research shows this. By the way, both conservative and liberal, but the more positive, value-centered sex education kids get from home, the less promiscuous they'll be and the less confused. It's not an answer-all. I mean, there's still kids who are going to mess up. But confused, isn't that interesting? So parents are the safe place for their kids, but the problem is parents didn't hear it from their own parents, so they don't have any role models on it. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that you mentioned is it would be better for parents to have 100 one-minute conversations rather than one 100-minute conversation.
Well, and
that makes sense.
I think that actually takes the pressure off of the parent. One 100-minute conversation, you go, okay, we're going to do this once. Research shows, Columbia University actually says that doesn't work. The kids kind of either forget it or, the parents went on and on.
Or it's just so painful they want to block it out.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you have...
dissociate during the process.
Exactly. But if you have the 1-minute conversations, or you use a resource like a student's guide, and there's other resources, if you use that, it really helps to create dialogue. And so then... with one of our daughters, we had a time where we just went, oh my gosh, she does not want to hear this. It was interesting. She didn't want to hear it when Kathy was having a conversation with her at 11, but she was the one who had the most questions later because she went, Mom brought this up, so I guess she's safe. I'll talk to her about this stuff. And so it's the 1-minute conversations, the 2-minute conversations, and it's not lectury and not preachy because we know that doesn't work. But I found sometimes even watching a television program with my kids and saying, hey, what do you guys think about that? Because it was something that went off culture or off a biblical worldview. And we'd have a great dialogue. That's the great thing about the clicker. You can put it on pause. There are times they didn't like the pause, but
for sure.
There you go.
Oh no, Dad, here we go again.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that a lot because, I've oftentimes said in our own home, there is not a sex talk. There's an ongoing conversation.
Right. That's the healthy way to do it. You're doing it. You've said, Chris, how you have done this, and you're doing it better in your generation than what a previous generation did. So we have to relearn and rethink how we do this.
As you mentioned that, though, Jim, as I've been able to go back and read your book, it has been so unbelievably helpful to me because it's still awkward. Sometimes I don't know how to bring it up. No. Sometimes I don't know what to do with it. So how can your book help parents have these 100 1-minute conversations?
Well, the good thing is you can the chapters are short. I know parents who actually read with it. I mean, there's even a course with it that they parents can just watch the course with their kids. But engage with your kids on this thing.
Yes, absolutely.
They'll read a book like this because it's on that subject.
Absolutely.
Kids will.
For those of you on Facebook Live or on YouTube, I'm holding it up right now.
Okay.
And so, A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity, God's Plan for Sex and Your Body by Jim Burns and Aaron Mashow. It is a great resource. You can go to newlife.com. You can order it online. But I really, really want to encourage you to check it out. We're going to be in studio for a couple of shows today, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to talk to you, and we'll be back right after this.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. It's myself, Chris Williams, Dr. Jill Hubbard, Jim Burns, and it is also Tim in Fargo, North Dakota, listening on our app, connecting to us on our app. I just want to remind everyone out there, if you go to your app store, you can download New Life Ministries, and that is a great way to connect with all of our resources. Tim, what's going on today, man?
Hey, man, how's it going? So you having a rough day? You know, one of them deals.
I get it, man. We all have them. And we're just glad that you're with us, and we get to share it with you and help you along the way. So tell us what's going on, man.
Well, here's the deal. 40 years ago, I asked a young lady to marry me in high school. I joined the military, went drinking, ended up with being married to another woman for too long. 4 years ago, my bride and I got married after 40 years apart. We'd been in contact off and on, but so we got married 4 years ago and took off on our honeymoon. And our honeymoon night, nothing happened. We haven't consummated our marriage. Nothing happened because I had prostate cancer.
Okay, yeah.
And everything that goes along with that, okay? Because it didn't happen, my wife felt rejected by me.
Yes. Yeah.
And has not, even though it is a medical thing, and I try to reiterate, she is stuck on that I rejected her on our wedding night. And we have not, there has been nothing. I'm down to absolute no affection. I got to beg for a hug. I got to, when I kiss my wife, I feel like I'm raping her. That's where I'm at, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Tim.
I want to help my wife. I want to help my wife.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So that's where I'm at, and I've been driving around for 6 hours trying to figure out what the heck to do. So I'm at my wit's end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of pain that you're in, a lot of frustration. We can hear it, Tim. Yeah. So, Jill, what does Tim do from here?
Oh, Tim, our heart is breaking with you. This is so painful. And just your story of finally getting back to your high school sweetheart and then to have this happen. I am so, so sorry. I'm, as with most things, there's usually a lot more to the story, and I don't know her history and her history of feeling rejected, but sounds like a lot is being triggered, and maybe even the original rejection that you didn't marry her the first time. I don't know if that's being brought up, but wondering if you guys have sought any help together, both medically as well as counseling. because this just doesn't get better.
Counseling.
Okay, this doesn't get better on its own. Nobody treads water.
No.
You're either moving forward in your relationship or you're sliding back and deteriorating.
Yep.
So good. I'm glad that you are in counseling. But I think instead of just flat out maybe telling her, no, I didn't reject you, and wanting to defend that, I think you really need to hear her, and hopefully in counseling, how has she felt rejected before this time? How has she felt rejected before by you and in other situations? And what pain is this bringing up for her? Because I think you need to lean in emotionally with her, because that's going to draw you guys closer together if you really understand her pain. So sometimes we want to go in the opposite direction and just reassure and make someone feel better. That doesn't make them feel better. It makes them feel unheard and unseen. So lean into her pain, acknowledge it, and ask questions and be curious and want to know more.
Tim, I love what Jill just said, because sometimes we get into counseling, and a lot of times what happens is it's for a better phrase, tit for tat. You know, well, you do this and you do this. This is not the time to do that. This is the time to hear her stories. And again, I love how you have emotion about this relationship. Yeah. And she said something that I want to reiterate. You know, there are times to get the counseling, and I'm really glad you're doing that, and I hope it helps. But I also want you to maybe get some medical advice, because people who have had prostate cancer, the vast majority of them, it is different. And let's see, I don't know how long ago you had it, but if it was robotic, or it was something where, you know, things are different, you know, with your plumbing. But that,
10 years.
Yeah, okay. So you're kind of in the newer stage of that. There are. There is sometimes simple medication. There's other ways to express the romantic feelings for her, and so you can please her, and you can be pleased in terms of just some of the other ways. But don't give up on that, because medically speaking, people who have had prostate cancer, men who have had prostate cancer, there are ways for them to express their love and have a physical, intimate relationship that's different, but still good. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I try that. I've tried that over the last 4 years, and it ends up get away from me. I don't. Yeah. So she pushes me away.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, when you walk up, I have not had a hug.
No, sorry.
I need a hug.
Yeah, you need some affection. And what happens in counseling when you say that? What happens in counseling?
Nothing has happened, but she expects whatever she says in that room to happen the next day with me.
And what does she expect? What does she want? I mean, you know, what does she express to you?
She wants communication. She wants communication.
Okay.
Well, there's the problem. I am not a communicator.
Yeah.
And when I do communicate, I'm going to use yesterday as an example. Yeah, I communicated something yesterday where I said I'm going to see them. And what I was doing is I was going to go see my granddaughter, who's adopted. I used the word, instead of saying my daughter or my granddaughter, I used the word them, including her adopted family. And that set my wife off, that I would, like, they're another family I go to see. No, I am not interested in nobody but my young granddaughter. And we argued for, I said to them, I don't mean, in this one, this is still going on. We're still...
So Tim, let me jump in for you, man. Listen, I know. I hear your frustration. Let me go all the way back to, there's a reason why you drank. Okay? Drinking alcohol does something like all good medicative devices. It numbs our emotional experiences. And
I got a question.
Hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out. It also numbs our ability to relate to other people. Right? So what has happened in your life is that I could feel it coming through the radio. You have so much energy put into the felt sense of connection and okayness and security with physical touch, with physical intimacy. And your wife does not feel safe with that at all. And she needs emotional, relational connection. And so you both are in a pattern of withholding from each other, creating more pain. Can you see that you're saying the same thing she's saying, just in a different way? She's saying, I can't be physical with you, and you're saying, I can't be emotional with you? And so you're circling a drain here that is just pure relational pain.
She tells me I'm too emotional.
It might be.
When I communicate.
Okay.
I'm too emotional.
Okay. Well, what I want to introduce is there's something in there where she's not hearing you, and most importantly, you're not hearing her.
Well, and when she's saying you're too emotional, there's no room for her emotion, is what she's saying to you. Instead of you hearing her, you get emotional, and then she's got to take care of you, and so that doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
With your counselor, one of the things I like to say is, communication is a learned trait. It's not something that comes normal. And when you said, I'm not a good communicator, then it's a learned trait. And actually, your counselor and your wife can help you with that. But also, she has a secondary emotion. It's called anger. And with that counselor, they'll want to get to the point of why does she have this deep-rooted anger? And that didn't just happen on your honeymoon first night.
No,
there's something else going on there too. Because again, this is a 40-year process. So you got some digging to do. But there's good news to this, and the good news is that you can learn to be a better communicator, and she can also learn to work through her anger in a more healthy and positive way. So it's almost like as you get to, you may not need marriage counseling today as much as you need kind of both of you kind of working on this and then bringing it together and then get a reset in your marriage. I've seen it work. It really has, especially somebody like you who has such a deep desire to make this relationship work. But it may honestly take some kind of a reset. But, dig deep. You can't change her, but you can change you. And she can't change you, but she can change her.
So let me just make a distinction, too. Tim, being emotionally connected doesn't mean being emotional. No. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I think our Intimacy in Marriage workshop would be a great launching pad for the two of you to maybe stir some things up, give you some really solid education and ways to look at each other and yourself so that when you go into counseling, it's more effective.
I think that would be a great resource. Yeah. I mean, that intimacy in marriage you said it very well, Jim. I kind of say it like this. When two people are at the altar and they say, I do, the safe assumption is that they love each other. The unsafe assumption is that they know how to love each other. Right. Like they have no clue. Communication, relationship, these are all learned. And if we didn't learn them along the way, or we learned some really unhealthy ways of doing it, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop is really an unbelievable crash course in how to do it. And I think most importantly, when I hear Tim and his wife's situation, what I hear is that the space in between them is no longer safe.
Yeah.
And if it's not safe, it can't be anything else.
Right.
It's actually the space in between them is painful. And getting into a place where you can address the pain and the fears and the frustrations in the middle in a safe way is such a game changer, and that's what the weekend does.
Yeah, and what I like about a weekend like that is, as you well know, I believe strongly in counseling, but I think sometimes a weekend like that, you can do more and better relationship work in a short weekend than you can in 25 counseling sessions.
Right.
Then you're now prepared to do the counseling.
I say it all the time. When I do intensives in my office, whether it be a 1 or 2 day intensive, I say 2 day intensive in my office will easily exceed 6 months of coming in weekly.
Right. Yeah. And I think Tim and his wife could really benefit from intimacy in marriage.
So Tim, it's coming up October 25th, and by the way, register pretty soon because there's an early bird special that ends October 11th, but sign up today. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love, And hopefully that'll be a great resource for you and your wife to work through together as you discover what is going on, creating this cycle and circle of pain in your life and in your relationship. I also want to mention another workshop that we have coming up. This is a crucially important workshop for the women and wives who've been impacted by their husbands or partners' sexual acting out behavior. If you've been impacted by infidelity and sexual acting out, and you're carrying around that pain, you do not have to carry around that pain alone, and you can get into a restored process. Restore is coming up November 1st in Washington, D.C. Again, you can give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, to register for that, or you can go online at newlife.com. Again, I cannot emphasize the process enough. We had mentioned it in another show that the recovery for the hurt partner is as important as the recovery for the hurting partner. So with that, we're going to be back right after this.
I am the firstborn of a functional alcoholic. I lost my dad to a murder-suicide. And I now, behind me in my early 60s, have 4 failed marriages. I made choices in men of people I thought I could fix. They all had some type of addiction, sexual, prescription drug addiction. And I have learned so much by finding New Life over the last 10 or so years. I eventually became a Club New Life member. And I cannot say enough good things about all that you all do and the counselors that you have. Everyone is just absolutely wonderful. I have purchased your materials for use in topical Bible studies with women. I have given them as gifts and have told people to tune in. And I just think that this is just such a blessing what you all do, and it's such a help to so many people.
To make your tax-deductible gift, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today. As we went to the break, I mentioned the Restored Workshop. If you are facing sexual betrayal in your life, we actually have a free guide to help you. Visit newlife.com/restore to download that free copy today. We're going to go back to the phones. We're going to talk to John in Fort Myers, Florida. John, talk to us today. How's it going? John, are you there? All right, we're actually going to go to Marie in Baltimore, Maryland. Marie, how's it going today?
Hi, it's going okay.
All right, well, talk to us. What's going on? How can we help you?
Our daughter, who just turned 19, is dating a 43-year-old.
Okay.
And we are, obviously very concerned. We're trying to use the principle of, sustaining the relationship instead of putting down like a mandate for her not to see them, because technically she is an adult. But we feel like, this is probably not a healthy relationship. She has a great relationship with her father, and I've even asked her, could that be an issue? She says it doesn't have anything to do with that. She feels like she's well adjusted and that they just have a lot in common, and that's why, she's choosing to date him.
Mm-hmm. And where did they meet?
They met at work.
Okay. And that's how the relationship started?
Yes. they would go out for lunch, and, we're just friends at first, and then it developed more than that. And, she was keeping the relationship a secret from us because we felt that we wouldn't approve. She kind of compartmentalizes everything in that, she goes out and does things with him, and then she does things with her friends. And before, whenever she would date anybody, her boyfriend would come with her, and everybody could be in the same friend group, and it's like she's keeping everything separate.
Yeah.
And we're like, if the relationship is okay, why are you keeping it separate from everybody? And she says, well, because I think no one approves.
Yes. Yeah. So is there any signs in this relationship of unhealth? I mean, we see that there is a significant age gap here.
Yeah.
But do you notice anything else?
Not to my knowledge, other than that she was being untruthful with us, to hide the relationship at first. But otherwise, emotionally, she seems okay, and we try to convey that, you're going through your 20s and 30s. This person has already gone through all this. They're at a different stage of life. We want you to experience your 20s with your 20-year-old friends and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Marie, how long has the relationship been going on, and has your daughter dated much?
She has had boyfriends in the past that were her own age that would last 6 months to a year. I think we're not sure exactly when this relationship really started, but probably 9 months or so now.
Okay, so it's been going on for a little bit of time. Certainly understand your concern, and we're, asking the initial questions. Would be different if she were 30 or even if she were 25.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When the
That's
brain
what we told her.
is more fully developed. At the same time, boys her age, young men her age, are often more immature than girls. And if she sees herself as more mature, and if this guy is a young 43-year-old, you can see where they might connect, and they've got their work in common. I think it's good that you're telling her your concerns. At the same time, I might say that I might encourage you to be willing to meet the man, maybe have him over for dinner, because I think
we did.
Oh, good. Okay, how did that go?
It went pretty well. We tried to keep things light and just talk about general things, but then we did say that we are concerned about the relationship and that it wasn't anything against him personally, but that we felt like the age difference and the different stations in life, were concerning to us, and that we just want the best for her, and that we were just, very concerned.
Okay.
We tried to make it not about him as a person, but just the whole situation.
And it sounds like that's what it is. It's really about the whole situation. So you were truthful in that. Okay. Well, I think that was a good approach to have him over, and certainly put him on notice that, you're not sure about this. And I think if they were honest, they would admit that as well, because your daughter is doing the hiding. So I think with your daughter, you've said a lot, and you've said you have concerns, but at the same time, you want to be a safe place for her. So obviously she's an adult. She gets to make her own decisions. So I would do what you can to keep the communication open. The concern is more about the hiding than really the other issues at this point. And so that you don't want her to have to hide things from you, while at the same time, we don't always approve of our adult kids' choices. And I think that's a gift we have to give them. You know what? I'm not going to always approve, but that's on you to make your own decision. I'll give you my input, and I'll be honest, but you're going to have to live with the choices. So let's be able to talk about it, what this is going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, because everyone is condemning us, saying we shouldn't allow this to happen, and if she's living under your house, under your roof, she should go by your rules. And I'm like, but it's not that easy when you're in this situation when someone is technically an adult.
Well, and it's easy to tell other people how they can control their adult children. Yeah. Right, Jim?
Yeah.
Almost an impossibility.
Yes.
It's easy to do. It's hard to live it out, and it's always so unique.
Absolutely. So we think you're doing the right and good thing here. We think you've taken some great steps here, Marie. We're going to head to a break here, but again, we're going to come back, give you some more guidance in this process. Again, I just want to remind our listeners out here, we're going to be in studio for a couple hours today, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000, and we'll be back right after this.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying. So my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're joining us today. We're talking to Marie, who has a 19-year-old daughter dating a 43-year-old man. Marie, you've just taken some great steps in this process, I think both with your daughter and with the man that she's dating. And Jim, you were mentioning a couple things at the break.
You know, Marie, for one thing, I think you're doing some textbook right doing life with your adult children. Because you're not shying away from it. You've had the conversation. You obviously, she's an adult. I mean, she's barely an adult.
Yeah.
And
right.
And you know, we call this emerging adulthood. And so, you know, it used to be that we had, you know, childhood, teenage, adult, and elderly. Now we have emerging adulthood, and she's in that stage. So she's still trying to figure it out. Her brain's still growing. She's experimenting with relationships. And I had a couple thoughts. One is if she was with me and I was having a conversation with her and she said, well, I don't really bring them around my community or my friends, or I've been hiding it from my friends and my parents, well, that's a flag for me. So if she should be as enthused, you know, you get a new boyfriend and, you know, you want him to be around the friends and you want him to be around the family, and this is not the case. So I would be curious to know why that's not the issue. Why she's not like bringing him around? Is she embarrassed that he's so much older than?
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
Her excuse is that people don't approve of him, and so because of the age difference, and that people won't give him a chance, and he feels self-conscious about it too. I think.
Right.
But I do keep saying, why don't you invite him, over when you're having this or that? So that I'm trying to make the point that, hey, if he can't fit into your regular life, and it's a problem. Yeah. And I also wonder if there's any red flags to look for as far as somebody of that age being kind of controlling or manipulating. Like, is there any, red flags to kind of look for?
Sure. I mean, there's some flags. I mean, and there are some flags on that. And, why is he interested in a 19-year-old? To be honest.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what we keep asking.
Yeah.
her.
And she lives at your house, right?
Yes.
So you can have you have boundaries at the house. He's not welcome to spend the night in her room in your home, those kinds of things.
Right.
But, and it sounds like you're doing that kind of thing. You can't be a one-topic parent, because what happens is if you're a one-topic parent, then that's the only conversation you're going to have with your daughter. We all of us kind of would agree with this, that this is not the end of the story. This could be a short-term relationship. This could be that disastrous relationship that many of us have had during a season. So that's where you want to be safe, but be strong. And you know what? You're getting in a lot more conversation. I always say, unsolicited advice is taken as criticism, and that they believe they're not all grown up. I didn't hear you saying she seems to be taking some of your thoughts and dialoguing with you. You're in a good place there. Because you're still giving her that, but for you do want the people around you who can help you kind of think through this. But again, you said they're saying, well, just straighten her out, tell her you can't do this. Well, when they're an adult, frankly, there's only so much you can do. Now, again, you could say, well, you have to leave the house and things like that. I'm not sure. That's the best idea.
You want to do that. You want to remove yourselves from being the bad guy, and you want to say, we trust who you are and how we've taught you. We're confused by this. So we're just, but we're here, and we're just going to be on the sidelines when you need us. But we're going to, you're an adult. You get to explore what you would like to explore, and in that way, then it's safer to bring up. You kind of create an ability to bring up those tough issues. Like, if this is going to be a long-term relationship, sweetheart, I think you'll have to figure out a way to incorporate him. And if you both are embarrassed by that, that's probably something to talk about in your relationship.
Okay.
I'm also curious, Marie, is this a career job for her or just a transient job?
Transient job for her while she's in college, but for him, I think it's a permanent job.
Okay, because here's another thing. Once they no longer work together, what they have in common might dissipate. Right now, they can talk about employees, the job, but once their worlds become a little more different, so you encourage her in her endeavors and her life goals. And her growing in those ways.
Yeah, I think that's good. Because, Jill, I'm going to borrow a term that you say, play the long game, not the short game.
Yes.
And so, and I just have this hunch, and I'm not saying it's right, but I see this oftentimes at about your daughter's age with both guys and gals. We have to, it's almost like a rite of passage that we have to choose like one really bad, disastrous relationship that we have to learn
that
from.
when we look back, we cringe.
We look back and be like, oh, whoa, what was I doing there? And listen, I say that tongue-in-cheek because I obviously don't want anyone to enter into painful, even traumatic or disastrous relationships where there's a lot of consequences. But I do know that she is still young. She's still figuring out a lot. And to encourage you, Marie, just to play that long game, keep being, as Jim and Jill are saying, the safe parent, the safe, honest, trustworthy parent that can be reliable, that when things go sideways in her life, when things go hard and difficult and maybe even painful, or they will go painful at some point in time, that you are there to support her, guide her, lead her as God has put you so wonderfully in her life. Marie,
thank you.
Absolutely. We're going to send you a copy of Jim's book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children, and want that to be such an encouragement. And I'm almost like not embarrassed to give it to her, but like she's, like you said, Jim, she's already living it out. But hopefully that will be an encouragement to her, encouragement to everyone.
And also, we have to learn, how do we not enable dependency on them? How do we have those hard conversations? And one of the things I talk about is tough love. So tough love doesn't mean that we're shunning our adult kids.
Love.
No, it's that we actually are allowing some of their poor choices to take place, and we show empathy then because they're doing that. And that's a hard one to tackle. That was a hard one for me because I want to take care, I want to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't think a 19 and a 43-year-old usually works. And if it was my kids, I would be pulling whatever hair I have left out. But we still have to be able to allow some of those consequences. We learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, one of the great ways to connect with us is that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of folks who can't listen directly on air. Why can't call in for whatever reason during that time of the day. Yeah. So one of the options that we have is we have write-in questions. If you have a question, you can't call us for whatever reason, you want us to address something on air, then you can write in to and go to newlife.com /NLL, New Life Radio, and there will be a section there where you can submit a question to us. And so in the spirit of that, we have a write-in question that I want to get to.
Okay.
So it's from Jeannie. And she starts with this question: how do I go about reconciling with estranged family members over a decision to sell our vacation home? Last November, my husband and I decided to list our vacation home for sale, and we informed our adult children and their families via what we thought was a well-written email. We chose that route so that everyone got the information at the same time, and we also encouraged and welcomed further discussion around that decision. Our decision to list the property revealed deeper cracks in our relationship with our youngest son's family. Their two youngest kids, ages 15 and 19, haven't spoken to us, don't want to speak to us, and have made it clear via written letter at how our decision has impacted them. We have since learned that our vacation home was their family's most favorite place in the entire world. My husband and I are hurt and angry, and we feel like all our efforts at being great parents/grandparents have been thrown out the window. How can they be so upset when they never shared what this place meant to them? Why are they not willing to talk with it about us? So we have grandparents, Jeannie and her husband, vacation home, family loved the vacation.
People have lots of fights over vacation homes.
Right.
Because I think there are expectations that, okay, this is like our special spot. I mean, people grow up having memories at vacation homes when their kids were younger, and now they're their own kids, right? The grandkids.
It becomes a place of great meaning and significance and memories, holidays, whatever the case, things that we look forward to.
But there's also this feeling like it's going to last forever, and they're going to pass it on down the family. And not all families can afford to do that.
Yes.
Right? But there's a certain entitlement, and it's almost a way of looking to parents and grandparents to take care of us forever, to provide for us forever.
Yeah.
And so that's a hard one. I don't understand the not being willing to talk about it, and I'm wondering if Jeannie and your husband, have approached the kids and said, we are open to hearing your opinions. We had no idea that this would stir up so much. We had no idea this was so meaningful to you. And we would really love to have conversation about that, and we don't understand the shutting down.
Yeah, these complicated family issues that deal with loss and decisions.
Yes.
And we're going to come back right after this and talk more about it. We'll be right back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and we were just addressing one of our write-in callers, if that's a thing, but our write-in questions from Jeannie. And, you know, they're a little bit older, it sounds like. They had a great vacation home that created a lot of family memories. They needed to sell it for whatever reason, sent out an email to the entire family. It says it was well written, but it wasn't received well by their youngest son's family, especially their grandchildren, and won't even talk to them anymore. So,
well, can I throw, I know you're going to jump in, but one more thought is, I'm wondering why it never occurred to them that this would be a place of meaning and memories too.
Yeah.
I mean, sending out an email is like it's a business transaction.
Right.
So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah.
Well, and we could, you know, it's already done.
Right.
But
it's
we
already
could
done.
look at the fact that if somebody else was going to do this, maybe the best thing to do would be to bring everybody together and say, we're going to just have to grieve together. But here's what we're going to do. We need the money, or we, you know, whatever.
Right.
Help them understand. Because those children are being estranged now, they are estranging themselves from Jeannie and her husband. That's hard because they don't get to hear and we don't know. That's the thing about the writing. We don't know why did they, you know, sell the vacation home. But Jeannie, I'd say loud and clear, that's your choice is to sell the vacation home. You own that home. And, you know, again, you might have been able to do it differently, but in this case, now I think it's, you know, the most important thing is to, you know, get back in relationship with your family. And I think the way you do that is to hear them out. And you don't have to do tit for tat. You don't have to argue with them. You just have to say, honey, I'm so glad you said that. It actually makes me feel better. You know, and again, we didn't sell this to punish anybody. We sold this because we needed the money, or we were afraid there might not be enough money, or whatever. I don't know what your situation is. Put it on the table. Don't let it go as far. And if I find a lot of times you can sneak these kind of conversations by just going and having a cup of coffee or by having a meal, and you don't have to make it only about that, but to say, hey, here's the time. We want to hear from you. Now, I don't think you even bring up much on your side. I think you just listen to their pain, help them grieve, funny enough.
And maybe start with the kids that are still talking to them.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe even take them out individually,
exactly.
Right? Each family.
Yeah, and sometimes the kids who are still talking to them, they actually have more info, or they understand
that's
something.
That's what I'm thinking, yes.
Because there's this reaction is not a healthy adult reaction from her youngest son, and she's got adult children. So that's not a healthy thing on his part. I mean, you can pout and you can go, oh, I'm so sad, but my goodness, you don't go estrangement. That's a pretty big thing to do.
Or try to talk them out of it, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know, I think she needs to hear that. In my humble opinion, I think she honestly, they have the right. It's theirs. Now, again, one of the things we can learn from this is that maybe email comes across too transactional, when in fact the relationship could be, when they hear the tone, you can't always see tone in an email. Feel tone.
If anything, you see it as more cold and hostile.
And Jim, I think you bring up a really good point, because I think there is something to be learned for all of us. And that is when we have shared family experiences around a resource. You know, in my family, they're boats. You know, but the boats belong to a particular person, i.e. my parents, or my brother has one as well. And so, you know, what does it mean if that was no longer there? It could be an inheritance. But I think the mistake that we make is that we don't ever include those people affected by the decision in the process. Because we lose sight, tragically, of the most heartbreaking truth. People matter more than things.
So important. Yeah.
Yes.
And our hearts get wrapped around things and we sacrifice people.
No, that's okay. I'm the youngest. My parents sold our home. I'm not bitter, but I'm like, why did you do that? We were using it more than anybody else. But you know what? My response was, oh well, I guess we'll have to find another place to go do vacation.
Yeah,
because I wasn't going to. I didn't as the youngest. I didn't want to break relationship, and my parents didn't want to break relationship. And I think that's. So I'm pushing a little bit on that younger son to come on, get it together. Let's have a conversation. And I think maybe Jeannie and her husband can kind of pull some of that out without having a big argument about it.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the heat of the battle.
Don't get defensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And loss is real.
Right.
Them losing this home as a place of great memory. Because I think one of the things that we don't understand oftentimes about loss is not what we lost in the past, but what we lose in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
good line.
You know,
Yeah,
and so
true.
I've lost this expectation that we're going to have Christmas here, and because something happened outside of my decision to make that happen, I'm going to be mad at the decision maker instead of simply grieving the loss because it wasn't permanent to begin with.
Right. It's really good. I just wrote that down. I'll be stealing that for a talk I'm going to give this weekend in Indiana.
Feel free. You know, because whether it be relationships, whether it be a career, there's so much loss around a hopeful future that we forget is a huge part of the grief, and maybe for some, the most significant part of the grief.
Well, and people can kind of personalize that as that they don't matter.
Yes.
Right? You didn't consider me in this decision. We have such great times. It feels like we don't even matter to you, that we were having these fun vacation times all together.
And I think that if we're in a different position than what Jeannie is in, meaning that like we have the resource, it belongs to somebody, maybe it belongs to us, that we include the conversations about what the resource means. And what it is, and also what the people mean, which, again, we choose people over things every time.
Right. And sometimes we have to understand why. And they may not have heard why. They might have just heard we're selling us. And sometimes we understand why, and that helps us.
Yeah. Well, Jim, I'm going to shift subjects here because I don't want this opportunity, now that we're here together, to pass by without talking a little bit more about this incredible resource, A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. What we don't want to do is miss out on the opportunity to talk to our children about sex, about integrity, about their bodies, about relationships. And so I want to ask you this. It's like never before that there is a battle for our children's and our kids' minds. And so much of that battle is being waged on social media. How does social media play a role in our battle?
Well, what we're seeing with students is it's playing such a major factor because they're on it all the time. And I think it's really important that we understand this about what I call digital drugs. You know, it's and it is digital drugs. You've got, a pleasure hormone that starts happening when you're on social media, and kids want more and more. So I think parents have to, what I say, create a media safe home. And talk about these issues, and talk about it before, not after. So, like, take for example pornography, which is so prevalent, and the average boy sees it at age 10, and the average girl sees it at age 11. And we obviously do a lot of work here at New Life with this with adults. But I think it's important that we have those conversations, because they're going to find that through social media. And so it's possible when our kids are younger, I think we have to limit time on their media device. They do self-soothing. And we did this last week. There was a dinner, and I noticed that my daughter just they were done with dinner, and we were still having adult talks, so just put the phone right in front of two grandkids, and man, they were great.
They behaved so well.
It sort of worked. But if we're always doing that, and I noticed my wife, we did breakfast with two of the grandkids and some other family members, and I noticed that she brought crayons. This is what we did when our kids.
True.
She brought crayons, she
Yes.
brought a truck, things like that. So again, what I think happens is we have to be aware of what are our kids seeing. Listen to what they listen to, read what they read, watch what they watch, understand the culture, and so much of their culture is involved with social media.
Absolutely.
So don't put your head in the sand.
We got to stay engaged. A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. Check that out. We're also going to be doing another program right after that. So stay on the line or give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Thanks for being with us today. Be well.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.